Hello students, in today's video I will be explaining about your English second chapter, Two Deer by Leo Tolstoy. Before getting into the video, if anyone is seeing the channel without subscribing, please do subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. It would be of a great encouragement for me. Also, click the bell button to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. So without wasting time, let us get into the video. So the chapter we are discussing today is the second chapter in your textbook. It is called as Two Deer, written by Leo Tolstoy. Now first, let us learn a few points about Leo Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy is a Russian writer and he writes novels and short stories. So Leo Tolstoy, he is a Russian writer. He writes novels and short stories. He is a master of realistic fiction and is widely considered as one of the world's greatest novelists. Now, some of the two famous works of Leo Tolstoy, we can say he is known for two long novels. So one is War and Peace. This is one of the most important novel of Leo Tolstoy. And one more is Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina. So these were the two important works of Leo Tolstoy. So if we want to know about the author of the work War and Peace, we will see the points once more. Leo Tolstoy, he is a Russian writer and writes novels and short stories. He is a master of realistic fiction and is widely considered as one of the world's greatest novelists. He is best known for two long novels, War and Peace and Anna Karenina. Now let us move into the chapter, that is Two Deer. So I will be explaining the main points in a summary form. So let us see paragraph by paragraph what is explained. So, in this chapter, we see about a tiny little kingdom called as Monaco. So, the location where the story is happening is a tiny little kingdom. The kingdom's name is Monaco. So, it is a tiny little kingdom means why is it called as tiny little kingdom? It just shows that it is a very small kingdom. So, the kingdom's name is Monaco. It had only about 7,000 inhabitants. It is so small that the tiny little kingdom of Monaco had only 7,000 inhabitants. That is, there were only 7,000 people living in Monaco. And this kingdom of Monaco was situated near the borders of France and Italy. So, Monaco was situated in between or near to the borders of France and Italy. So the story happens in a tiny little kingdom, Monaco. There were only 7,000 inhabitants. And this was called as a toy kingdom. It was so small that it was called as a toy kingdom. So usually when we see a toy car, that is a car which is very smaller compared to an actual car. It is smaller in size. That is why we call it as a toy car. So like that, Monaco is called as a toy kingdom because it was much smaller in size than an actual kingdom. It had only 7,000 inhabitants. Now this toy kingdom had a kinglet and it had a kinglet. So even though it was a toy kingdom, it was very small. It had a king. It is they call as kinglet. It had a king, and this kinglet had a palace with courtiers, ministers, bishops, army, etc. That means that even though it is a toy kingdom, it had everything which a normal kingdom would have. That is, it had a kinglet. The king had a palace was there. He had ministers. The king had army. Everything was similar to a normal kingdom. Only thing was that its size was small and the number of people living there were very less. The army had only 60 men in total. So the army of this toy kingdom had only 60 men. You can imagine, where there are only total 7,000 inhabitants, then naturally the army will be having very less people. Only 60 men were there in the army. The kingdom also had taxes like elsewhere. Now, for a kingdom to function properly, it needs money. So, for the purpose of money, taxes were there. Like all other kingdoms, taxes were there. Here also taxes were there. Taxes were there on tobacco. Taxes were there on wine and spirits. And then poll tax was also there. So the main types of taxes, one was tax on tobacco, and that is smoke, what is smoke, that is tobacco. Then there was tax on wine, that is alcohol, and poll tax was there. So even though Monaco was a toy kingdom, it was a tiny little kingdom with 7,000 inhabitants, all the normal thing which a normal kingdom had, it was there in Monaco. It had a kinglet, palace, ministers, army, 60 men were there in army, and all kinds of taxes were there to meet the expenses. So this was about the tiny little kingdom of Monaco. Now, because the number of people were very less, the taxes were not enough to meet the expenses. So that was a problem. See here, the number of people in Monaco were very less. Number of people were very less. So because of this, the taxes also will be less. So the taxes was not enough to meet the expenses of the kingdom, not enough to meet the expenses. That was the problem faced by the king of Monaco. Whatever taxes were taken, it was not enough to meet the expenses. And the king was in a confused situation, and he thought that he had to find a new source of revenue. So king started thinking that he had to find a new source of revenue. So whatever taxes were there, it was not enough because people were very less. So king thought that, okay, let me think of a new source of revenue. How will I get some more money? That was what the king was thinking. And this was from a gaming house where they play roulette. So the king finally understood that this new source of revenue will come from a gaming house. Okay, the gaming house where they play a game called as roulette. So what is roulette? It is a kind of gambling game. That is, gambling game means it depends, they keep money and it depends on your luck. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you get money, sometimes you lose money. So this was a kind of gambling game, roulette, and king understood that his new source of revenue will come from this gaming house where they played roulette, and it was a kind of gambling game. And here the people who were playing this game had to give a percentage to the keeper. So to the gaming house keeper, the people who played, so anyone who was playing the game had to pay a percentage of money they have to pay, and that gaming house keeper will pay that money to the king. That is how the king got money from the gaming house. So because the number of people were very less, taxes were not enough to meet the expenses. So king had to find a new source of revenue, and this new source was from a gaming house where they played roulette. It was a kind of gambling game. And in this game, the person who played had to give a percentage to the keeper of the house, and this keeper pays it to the prince. So this was how the king earned extra revenue. That is how he earned from the gaming house. So now this roulette or the gaming house was the only gambling house left in Europe. That is, the gaming house in Monaco. It was the only gambling house left in Europe. Gambling house left in Europe, because in other places and all it was not allowed. Okay, because it depended on luck and people started losing money. In other places and all it was prohibited, but in Monaco it was still there. So in Monaco, this was the only gambling house left in Europe. And the Prince of Monaco continued to make money in this way from the gambling house. So this way the Prince of Monaco continued to earn money. So the King of Monaco, Monaco King, continued to earn money from this gambling house, that is by people playing roulette. And the King of Monaco knew that it is a dirty business, that is earning money through gambling. He knew that it is a dirty business, but he also thought that the other source of revenue was from drinks, alcohol, tobacco, etc. So all those were also not good things. So why not gambling? So the King of Monaco, even though he knew that it was a dirty business, he thought that the other source of revenue also was from drinks and tobacco, which was also not nice things. So all who wants to gamble came to Monaco. Why? Because in other places gaming was not there. So all who wanted to do gambling, or anyone who wanted to play roulette, all who wanted to play roulette, they all went to which place? They all went to Monaco. They all reached Monaco to play, and this was good for the King of Monaco because he started earning money in this way. So let us see the points till now, whatever we have studied. We studied that there was a tiny little kingdom called as Monaco near the borders of France and Italy, and it had only about 7,000 inhabitants. This was a toy kingdom, and it had a kinglet, and he had a palace with courtiers, ministers, bishops, army, etc. The army had only 60 men in all, and the kingdom had also taxes like elsewhere, like tax on tobacco, wine and spirits, and a poll tax. Since there was very less people in Monaco, the taxes were not enough to meet the expenses, and King thought he had to find a new source of revenue. This was from a gaming house where they play roulette, that is a gambling game. People who played had to give a percentage to the keeper, and he pays that to the prince. This was the only gambling house left in Europe. Prince of Monaco continued to make money in this way from the gambling house. Kinglet of Monaco gained money whether the people win or lose, and he knew it is a dirty business, but to draw revenue from drink and tobacco is also not a nice thing. So all who wants to gamble, everyone went to Monaco. So that much was what happened in the toy kingdom of Monaco. Now let us continue. The kinglet of Monaco had everything like the other kings, but only on a smaller scale. That is, we already studied that the King of Monaco had everything. That is, he had coronation, laws, army, palace, everything was there, but it was only on a smaller scale. Now, what was the main incident which happened? That is the incident behind the story. So, a few years ago, what happened? A few years ago, a murder was committed. Okay, a few years ago, a murder was committed in this kingdom. Actually, the people of the kingdom was very peaceful, and such thing had never happened before. Okay, so actually the people of Monaco were very peaceful people. Monaco people actually were very peaceful, and such a thing had never happened before. But what happened? Unfortunately, a few years ago, a murder happened in Monaco. And all the judges were called and the case was discussed. All the important people came and the case was held, and finally they decided to condemn the criminal to have his head cut off. So that was a final decision made. They decided that the criminal, that is who did the murder, should have his head cut off. That is, he should be beheaded. That was the punishment which was given to the criminal. So all the judges, everyone decided this, and Prince confirmed the decision. The king agreed that yes, the criminal has to be punished. Now the only problem left, that is, there was a problem now for this thing to be done, for the punishment to take place. What was the problem? That is, to behead the person, they needed two things. So decision is to behead the person. So to behead the person, they need two things. One is an executioner. That is, the first thing is an executioner. That is a person to do the punishment. That is a person to behead the criminal. That is executioner. Someone should be ready to do that. And the second one is a guillotine. So what is a guillotine? Guillotine. So what is a guillotine? So the guillotine is actually an instrument used for beheading people. That time and all, there was an instrument. This was used for beheading the people. It is said that it consists of a tall frame and it will have a blade suspended and the person's head will be kept down and this blade will be released and the head of the person will be cut off. So it will be like there will be a blade on the top and down there will be a place to keep the head of the person, and this blade will be released from the top. It will come down and cut the person's head. So that is an instrument called as guillotine. That time it was used to behead people. So it is usually said that during the time of French Revolution and all, this instrument was used widely to behead the people. So that was the two things required for this punishment to be done. So they needed an executioner, that is a person to do, and they needed a guillotine, that is an instrument to do the beheading. So these two things had to be there. So a few years before, a murder happened in Monaco. Although the people of Monaco were very peaceful, unfortunately such an incident happened, and the decision was made that the criminal's head should be cut off. But the problem was that they needed two things. One is an executioner and one is a guillotine, that is an instrument to behead the person. So these two things needed was not available in Monaco. So they decided to ask the French government if they could lend the machine and an executioner. So I told you during French Revolution time and all, this instrument was widely used in France. So in Monaco, this instrument was not there. So that is, guillotine was not there in Monaco. Guillotine, was not available. So Monaco guillotine machine was not available. So what did they do? They decided to ask the French government. They decided to ask the French government if they could lend not only the machine but also an executioner. If they could lend a machine and an executioner. So for that they sent a letter to the French government asking them, and they waited, and after a week reply came. Okay, so after a week reply came and French government said that yes, we are ready to give you an executioner and a guillotine machine, and it would cost 16,000 francs. That francs is a currency during that time. So they told that it would cost them 16,000 francs for the machine and the executioner together. The King of Monaco, you know that Monaco is a small kingdom, a toy kingdom. It does not have that much population. It does not have that much money. So 16,000 francs was a big amount. So the King of Monaco felt that this 16,000 francs is a big amount, that too to spend it on a criminal, it is a very big amount. So again discussion started happening, and they again decided to ask the government of Italy. So after the French government, they thought of asking the King of Italy. So since Italy, the King of Italy was a monarch and Monaco was also ruled by a monarch, they thought that maybe Italy will support them more than French government. So they asked the government of Italy, and the government of Italy also agreed to give them both the machine and executioner, and they said that it would cost them 16,000 francs. So the Italian government said that it would cost them 16,000 francs. Even though it is less than 12,000 francs. Okay, Italian government told 12,000 francs. Even though it was less than 16,000 francs, but the king of Monaco thought 12,000 francs also is a big amount to be spent on a criminal. You have to understand that Monaco is a very small kingdom. So the king of Monaco felt that this 12,000 franc also is a very big amount to be spent on a criminal. So that was the problem which the kingdom of Monaco was facing when they had to punish a criminal. So here what happened was the kinglet of Monaco had everything like the other kings, but only on a smaller scale. A few years ago, a murder was committed. The people of the kingdom was very peaceful, and such thing never happened before. The judges came and tried the case, and finally they condemned the criminal to have his head cut off. The prince confirmed the decision. Now the only problem here was to behead the person. They needed one executioner and a guillotine. They decided to ask the French government if they could lend a machine and an executioner. They sent a letter, and after a week reply came, and they said it would cost 16,000 francs. The king of Monaco felt that it was a big amount. Again discussions were done, and they sent a letter to the king of Italy. Since the king of Italy was a monarch, they thought he would support, and Italian government also agreed to give both machine and executioner for 12,000 francs. But this also seemed too much to be spent on a criminal. So now let us see what happened further. What did the king further decide to do? Because these two governments have told the amount which was not acceptable to the king of Monaco. So now let us see what did the king of Monaco decide to do. So now again discussions were held. The king again called everyone and discussions were held. They started discussing that we asked two kings for help, but one told 16,000 francs, another told 12,000 francs, and that was a big amount. So discussions were held, and they thought if a soldier could do the execution without a machine in a very rough manner. So they thought, okay, one more idea is there. Can't we ask any one soldier? That is, if any soldier can just do it without a machine, soldier can do it in a rough way. That is, in a rough way. Rough way means without a machine. That is just, why can't a soldier come and directly cut his head off? That was what discussions were being held. The general was called and asked, but none of the soldiers wanted to do it. So this discussion was held, but none of the soldiers were ready to do it. Soldiers were ready. They told that we have not done such a thing till now. We are not ready to do it. We are not trained to do it. We are not ready to do it. None of the soldiers were ready to do it. Again discussions were held. There was a commission, a committee, a subcommittee. So all these people came to discuss. So for the discussions, a commission was there. Then again a committee was there to discuss all these things. A subcommittee was there. So all these people came, and finally they decided that the death sentence should be changed to life imprisonment. So what was the final decision made by them? Decided that the death sentence, that is the decision to give him death sentence, should be changed to life imprisonment. Okay, imprisonment. So that was the decision. He need not be killed or beheaded. Instead of that, lifetime, let him stay in the prison. So then the problem of execution is solved, no? So that was the decision made. So discussions were done. First they thought that why can't a soldier do it in a rough way, but none of the soldiers were ready. So discussions were done from a committee, subcommittee, commission, everyone together, and they decided that the death sentence should be changed into life imprisonment, that is lifelong. And this will enable the king to show his mercy, and it will be much cheaper. So king thought that life imprisonment means he can make the people feel that he is a very merciful king. See, he is not killing the criminal, he is showing mercy to the criminal. And one more benefit is it will be much cheaper. he need not spend 12,000 or 16,000 francs. It will be much cheaper. So that seemed to be a better idea. So they decided that the death sentence should be changed to life imprisonment. Let him be in jail for lifetime. This was agreed, but again there was another problem. Again another problem came. Now what was that problem? There was no suitable prison for putting the criminal for a lifetime. So there was no suitable prison for putting the criminal for a lifetime. See, in Monaco there was just a kind of a lockup where a person who did crime can be kept for a night. But this is for lifetime. So there need to be a suitable prison. So the next problem was there was no suitable prison to keep him for lifetime. But finally this problem was solved, and they somehow managed to find a place. So they managed to find a prison. A proper prison was found out, and they also appointed a guard. See, there should be someone to take care of this person, no? So they appointed a guard who will watch the criminal and also fetch the food for the criminal from the palace. So the guard had two duties. One is the guard had to watch the criminal. He has to take care whether he is not trying to run away, all those things. He had to watch the criminal. And the second thing was that he had to fetch food for the criminal from the palace. He had to go to the palace kitchen, get food for the criminal and give it to him. So that was a two duty of the guard who was appointed. Now the prisoner or the person in the that is the criminal prisoner, he stayed there continuously 3 months, stayed there for month after month, and now almost 1 year passed. Okay, it is lifetime imprisonment, you have to understand. So now when 1 year passed, that time the kinglet noticed a new expenditure. So when 1 year passed, one day the kinglet, that is the kinglet of Monaco, noticed a new expenditure in the kingdom. A new expenditure in the kingdom. What was that expenditure? This was to keep the criminal, his guard, his food. All these came together to 600 francs a year. Okay, 600 francs per year. That is criminal's expenditure, whatever the criminal needed, the guard's salary, the food for the guard, the food for the criminal, everything together came to 600 francs per year. So it was only after a year that the kinglet noticed this. So when the death sentence was changed to life imprisonment, the problem was that then there was no suitable prison. It was solved and a prison was found out, and they appointed a guard. The guard had to watch the criminal, fetch him food, and the prisoner stayed in the prison. 1 year passed. That time the kinglet noticed that a new expenditure came, that is for the criminal, his guard, his food, etc. It costed almost about 600 francs per year. So the king was shocked. He noticed it only after 1 year. So he saw that this much amount, that is 600 francs, had to be spent per year. And one more thing the king thought is, the criminal is still very young. So okay, the criminal is still very young, and he is very healthy. Okay, he is a very young guy, he is a very healthy guy, and he would live at least for the next 50 years. So the criminal, at least for the next 50 years he would live, and it is a life imprisonment. So the expenses also will be continued for the next 50 years. So that was what the king of Monaco was thinking. So again, the king immediately called all his ministers, all his people, and discussions again started happening. See, this much big amount is being spent, and this criminal is still young and healthy. So almost for 50 years I have to spend this much money on a criminal. So discussions started happening, and they thought of finding a cheaper way. So one of them said that, why not we will dismiss the guard. So they first thought that they will dismiss the guard. Okay, then at least some expenses will be reduced. That was one person's opinion. But if they dismiss the guard, then the criminal would run away. That is another problem. So like that, discussions over discussions happened, and finally they decided that if he runs away, let him run away. At least the expenses will be reduced, and finally it was decided that the guard should be dismissed and they will wait and see what will happen. So they finally agreed that the guard should be dismissed and they will wait and watch what is happening. But what happened was, at the dinner time, during the dinner time, they were all watching what this criminal is doing. The criminal uh, waited for the guard, but he knew that the guard was not there. The criminal opened the prison. He opened the door. He went to the palace kitchen. He went to the kitchen. He took his food from there, took food, and he came back to the prison and he closed the door and sat there. Okay, so the criminal opened the door, went to the kitchen, took the food, and he came back. He did not run away. He came back with his food, ate his food, and sat there. That was what the criminal did. He did not run away. The same thing he did every day. Every day he will open the door, he'll go to the kitchen, take his food, come back, and he will sit there. So he did not run away. So everyone was surprised, even though he is getting a chance. Why is the criminal not running away? So he did not. The criminal did not show any interest in running away. So he did not run away. Even though he had a very good chance, he did not run away. Finally, they brought him before the Minister of Justice. So the criminal, he was brought in front of the Minister of Justice. And they decided to ask him, what is his problem? Why is he not running away? They asked him why he did not run away. The Minister of Justice asked him why he did not run away. They said him that there is no guard to keep you. You can go wherever you want. So the Minister of Justice directly said him, there is no guard to keep, so you can go anywhere you want, you can go. Okay, wherever you want, you can go anywhere you want. It was directly said to him. So, but the criminal replied that he had nowhere to go. So the reply of the criminal was, he had nowhere to go. He had no place to go. He did not have any place to go. He is in the prison for the last 1 year, and he said that he had nowhere to go. And he said that his character is ruined because of life sentence. That is, everywhere now he is known as a criminal or a prisoner. So he said that his character is ruined. Now he has a bad name outside. So no one will give him a job. He does not have any place to go. So his character is ruined because of this. He said that when my death sentence was changed into life imprisonment, he did not complain. He said that in the beginning only you should have killed me. But my death sentence was changed into life imprisonment. That time also I did not complain. But now I can't agree to go. He said that he can't agree to go because you people have ruined my character. I have a bad name outside, and now I don't have any place to go, so I can't agree to go. I will be staying here only. So the criminal did not run away. Minister of Justice asked him why, and he said that I have nowhere to go. My character is ruined. You did not give me death sentence. You changed it into life imprisonment. But now I can't agree this. I have no place to go. So that was what was said by the criminal. So that is why the criminal did not run away. So again the king was in a confusion. Again meetings were held. Again Minister of Justice, king, and everyone joined together. Meetings were held, and they decided that the prisoner will be paid a sum of 600 francs as annuity. So they decided to pay 600 francs to the criminal. Okay, the criminal will be paid 600 francs, that is to the criminal as annuity, that is annually they will be that the criminal will be paid 600 francs per year. 600 francs he will be given, like we can tell it is a kind of pension or something for him to live. He will be paid 600 francs as annuity. That was decided. And one more decision was made, that is 1/3. Okay, 1/3 of this was paid in advance. So now when he is going, 1/3 of this annuity will be paid in advance. So the criminal agreed. Okay, if it is like this, I will agree. And the criminal agreed to go away, and he left the king's domain. And he moved and he settled just across the frontier, that is just near to the across the frontier only he settled. Okay, the criminal left that place and just across the frontier he settled in one place. Anyway, he is getting money, 1/3 already in advance he got. He settled there and he brought a bit of land. He brought some land and he started market gardening and lived there comfortably. So he bought a bit of land, started doing agriculture there, that is market gardening. Whatever he can sell in the market he started cultivating, and he settled there very peacefully and comfortably. And every year he goes proper time, he goes to collect the money, because annually he has to get an amount. So proper time he goes and he collect the money. So that was done by him properly. So meetings were held and it was finally decided that the criminal will be paid 600 francs as annuity, and 1/3 was paid in advance. Criminal agreed to go and he went across the frontier and they settled there. He brought a bit of land there and started market gardening, and proper time he went to collect money and he lived very comfortably there. So that is how the life of the criminal completely changed. And one more thing, whatever money he went and collected, he started using it for one more purpose, gaming. Okay, the criminal used the money which he got from the palace, not everything, a bit of the money, for gaming also. And in gaming, the criminal sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses, because that is how gaming is. It depends on luck. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses, and he returns home and he lives peacefully. And it is said that it is a good thing that he did not commit crime in a country where they do not grudge the expenses to cut a man's head off. Why? Because he became so lucky. Why? Okay, the criminal became so lucky because in Monaco they can't even spend money to punish a criminal. Can't even spend money to punish a criminal. Okay, they want to save that money also. That is why he became lucky. Otherwise, if he would have been in another country, he would have been killed very easily. So that is why it is said it is good thing that he did not commit crime in a country where they do not grudge expenses. So in Monaco, they grudge on expenses. They can't spend money to punish and grudge expenses to cut a man's head off or to keep him in prison. That is why he became very lucky. So this is what is a summary of the chapter 2, dear. We will see some more points. That is, again, discussions were held. They thought if a soldier could do the execution without a machine in rough manner. The general was called and asked, but none of the soldiers was ready. Again, discussions were held. A commission, a committee and a subcommittee finally decided to alter the death sentence to life imprisonment, and this will enable the king to show his mercy, and it would be much cheaper. And this was agreed, but again there was no suitable prison. Finally, they managed to find a place, appointed a guard to keep the watch on the criminal and fetch him food. The prisoner remained there month after month till a year passed. That time King Let noticed a new expenditure. This was to keep the criminal, his guard, his food, and all these came together to 600 francs a year. The criminal was still young and healthy, and he would live at least for the next 50 years, and the expenses have to be taken. So the prince was again called. All the ministers were asked to find a cheaper way, and one of them said they must dismiss the guard. But then he would run away. Finally, it was decided the guard should be dismissed, and they waited to see what would happen. But at dinner time, the criminal came out, went to the palace kitchen to fetch his own dinner. He took his dinner, returned, and shut the door and stayed inside. He did not run away. Finally, they brought him before the Minister of Justice and asked him why he did not run away. They said to him that there is no guard to keep you and you can go wherever you want. But the criminal replied that he had nowhere to go. He said his character is ruined, and he said that when my death sentence was changed to life imprisonment, I did not complain, but now I can't agree. One more meeting was called. They decided that the prisoner should be paid a sum of 600 francs as annuity. 1/3 of this was paid in advance, and he left the king's domain. He emigrated and settled just across the frontiers, where he bought a bit of land and started market gardening and lived comfortably. He goes at proper time, receive the money and use it for gaming. Sometimes he wins and sometimes loses, and then returns home and lives peacefully. It is good thing that he did not commit crime in a country where they do not grudge expenses to cut a man's head off or keep him in prison for life. So I hope you have understood all the points very clearly. You have understood the story very clearly. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you soon in the next video. Thank you for watching.